The screen opens in near darkness as a single flame flickers uncertainly, its light throwing long, restless shadows across a cave wall. And as the flame steadies, an ancient desert painting slowly reveals itself, etched deep into stone, cracked by centuries of heat and scarred by countless sandstorms yet stubbornly alive. Its crude but deliberate figures painted in mineral reds, ash blacks, and sun-faded ochres, depicting at the center a naked, small man bound tightly with thick rope. His body bent not in defiance but in fear, knees buckling, spine curved, head tilted back as if crying out to a sky that refuses to answer. While around him stands a circle of women, tall and imposing, their bodies rigid with authority, faces unreadable, spears angled inward not in attack but in judgment, forming a prison of sharpened resolve. And above them looms an enormous sun painted unnaturally large, dominating the scene like a watching eye. Its rays shaped like blades that cut into the stone itself, and beneath the figures ancient symbols snake along the wall, their meanings lost to time until, as the camera lingers, the symbols dissolve into translated words that warn in solemn stillness. He who devours many hearts without honor will be stripped, tested, and returned to the sand, until desire is burned away and truth stands alone. As the flame sputters, dims, and for a fleeting moment the painted man's eyes seem almost alive, filled with terror and recognition, before everything cuts to black and abruptly snaps into modern daylight, flooding a sleek bedroom where Lin Zhihui lies sprawled across the bed like a man entirely at peace with himself, sunlight touching his face as his phone vibrates endlessly on the nightstand, messages stacking, overlapping, competing for his attention. Yet he doesn't rush, smiling even before he looks because he already knows what awaits him. Different names glowing on the screen, but the same tone beneath them all. Soft affection, subtle longing, quiet possession asking if he slept well, saying they miss him already, wondering when they will see him again, and Lin replies with lazy precision, one thumb moving with calculated ease, minimal effort producing maximum effect, knowing exactly which words to choose, how long to wait before sending them, when to disappear just long enough to increase desire, his appearance polished and effortless. The kind of man whose confidence makes others lower their guard without realizing it, whose charm isn't loud or desperate but smooth, practiced, refined by repetition. And he doesn't chase affection because he lets it come to him, and convinces himself that this passivity absolves him of responsibility, telling himself he isn't cruel, that he simply doesn't believe in limits, that hearts are resilient and promises are flexible, seeing women not as full individuals with fears, histories, and inner lives, but as reflections meant to admire him, affirm him, and desire him, never stopping to consider that patterns always expose themselves. As the perspective quietly shifts to the women themselves living separate lives in different corners of the city, one laughing at her phone in a cafe with a warm drink growing cold in her hands, another standing by a window late at night watching traffic blur into streaks of light while rereading old messages. Another scrolling through conversations she once believed were unique and intimate, until a pause enters the rhythm, a hesitation sparked by a phrase that feels familiar, too familiar. A compliment worded exactly the same way, curiosity turning into unease as she searches through her messages, compares dates, takes screenshots, and realizes the truth doesn't explode outward, but tightens inward like a knot, prompting her to carefully reach out to another woman with a casual question about Lin. The reply coming slower than expected, followed by another message, then another, until screenshots stack. Timelines overlap and lies reveal their precise geometry, exposing how what Lin believed was clever was actually lazy, recycled affection pasted from one heart to another. Identical promises delivered on a predictable schedule, disappearances timed not for respect but for control. And yet there is no screaming, no confrontation, no dramatic accusation. Only silence heavy with understanding, followed by planning that unfolds with chilling calm as a group chat forms without emojis, without rage-filled typing, only clear logistics, locations, timing, roles assigned without argument, their composure far more dangerous than anger. And when the plan is complete, the chat goes quiet, after which Lin never receives a warning because hands grab him mid-laugh, sudden and firm. A blindfold pulled tight that disorients him instantly as his smooth voice fractures into panic. The car ride stretching unbearably long, with every bump rattling his certainty and shaking loose promises he never intended to keep. Words spilling from him about love, change, sincerity, until the blindfold is ripped away to reveal endless desert. No roads, no buildings, no sign of life, only sand stretching in all directions and a sun that feels personal in its cruelty. And they leave him there without ceremony, without explanation, without a backward glance, as at first he laughs nervously, convinced it's a test or a scare tactic that will end any second. But minutes pass and then more, his skin burning, mouth drying, sweat soaking his clothes as confidence drains out of him drop by drop. And he walks, stumbles, walks again, cursing, bargaining, apologizing to the empty sky, learning too late that the desert does not negotiate. Until hours later, he is no longer a charming man, but a creature stripped down to instinct, fear clawing at his chest, thirst hollowing his thoughts, regret surfacing in fragments as he collapses face first into sand so hot it stings. Certain this is where he will die, only to see shapes moving through the shimmering heat, women emerging from the horizon like echoes pulled straight from the ancient painting, moving in silent formation with steady spears and faces that show no curiosity or pity, only assessment. Binding him without cruelty or hesitation, and dragging him to a hidden village nestled between dunes where everything exists with purpose, where there are no men, no wasted motion, no crying children, only discipline and survival, where he is washed, fed, and observed like an artifact rather than a person, mistaking his continued breathing for luck until the queen arrives, young yet unshakable, her presence commanding stillness without effort. Her voice calm and absolute as she explains the ritual plainly, without malice or pleasure, reducing his life to utility as the progenitor chosen to preserve their lineage before being sacrificed to their gods. A fate no lie, begging, or feigned illness can alter because the tribe does not hate him, and hate would require emotional investment. And the days leading to the ritual become a slow psychological unraveling as every sunrise feels like a step closer to extinction. Nightmares invading his sleep with images of sand filling his lungs, spears closing in, and women turning their backs as he screams unheard. Until dawn breaks with violence as a rival clan attacks like wildfire, chaos consuming the village, huts burning, warriors bound and dragged away. The queen captured amid smoke and shouting, and in the confusion Lin is forgotten. Left behind in a silence so complete it rings in his ears, standing free with no chains, no guards, no ritual, tasting real freedom for the first time as he steps outside and breathes deeply before stopping, seeing smoke rise into the sky and footprints trailing into the desert, realizing with sudden clarity that running has always been his instinct, and that leaving now would mean nothing has changed. So instead he picks up a spear with shaking hands, grips it wrong, adjusts, cuts his palm, and follows the tracks into the dunes with fear pounding louder than reason. What follows clumsy and chaotic rather than heroic as he hides behind rocks, trips over ropes, makes mistakes, gets lucky, bleeds, nearly gives up, but keeps moving because each step forward is a refusal to remain the man he was, until he reaches the rival camp and chaos erupts from within as prisoners are freed, guards confused, and the beauty tribe regroups. And when the queen sees Lin fighting badly, bleeding, trembling yet still standing between her people and danger, she understands that the ritual was never about death, but about stripping a man down until nothing false remained. And together they reclaim the village in a final surge of unity, leading the story back to the ancient painting where a new image has been carved beside the original bound figure, showing the same man now standing upright, unbound, spear in hand, the sun above him still burning but no longer dominating the scene. As Lin Zhihui walks away from the desert not redeemed by love or celebrated as a hero, but irrevocably changed, stripped of illusion, painfully aware, and finally awake, a transformation more dangerous and more powerful than death itself.